Hello guys, welcome back to Championship Predictions. The EFL Championship is back after the international break. It's good to be back, isn't it, Sophie?
It is, but not as a Cov fan.
No, not as a Coventry fan, but once again we don't have to just talk about them. We're here to talk about the whole EFL Championship. Just before the international break, Sophie did once again just get the better of me as we both moved into triple digits for points. There's still not a lot between us, but Sophie is just in front. Before we get into the EFL Championship predictions for this weekend, guys, do make sure, of course, to drop a like. Your support has always been fantastic on the Championship predictions, so let's go for 999 likes. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already. It's free to do. And are we going to smash the like target?
Of course we are.
Of course we are. Do make sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Get involved. It's free to like. It is free to subscribe. And it means you'll see all of our videos when they go out. Let's jump in to the Championship predictions. Sophie, we're going to start with a Yorkshire derby on Friday night as Rotherham United take on Leeds United. A little bit of a mismatch. Two sides that could be going in opposite directions this season. But you never know. This is the Championship, Sophie. Could Rotherham stun Leeds United? They have got the home advantage, and I have always said that Rotherham United are better at home than they are away. They got smashed 5-0 by Watford just before the international break. Leeds United did get the better of Plymouth Argyle at Ellen Road just before the international break. Like I say, there's potential for a bit of an upset here, Sophie, but I think Leeds United have looked very strong recently, and I'm going to back them for a convincing win here as they continue to try and chase down the top two. Going to go Rotherham 0, Leeds 3.
So Rotherham, before the international break, they got that absolute beating by Watford 5-0, and that goal difference took a beating. However, they did get rid of their manager, so could it be a different side? I don't think so. I don't think they're going to get beat 5-0, but I do see this being quite a convincing one. Leeds 3-0.
Yeah, same as me.
Yeah. Oh, did you say 3-0?
I did say 3-0.
Oh, right.
There you go. We both went for Leeds 3-0. Do share your predictions on Rotherham United versus Leeds United. Next up, Sophie, let's move on to Saturday's fixtures, and we start with a game at St Andrews between Birmingham City and Sheffield Wednesday. Two sides that could really do with 3 points. Birmingham City yet to win under Wayne Rooney. He has had it tough. Not making excuses for the fact he hasn't won yet, but he has had some difficult games. This is really where he will be judged. If you don't beat Sheffield Wednesday, then there is something wrong. And I'm not trying to be too disrespectful to Sheffield Wednesday because I would like to see them stay up, but we say the same things every week. And just before the international break, they lost 4-0 at home to Millwall. So
yeah.
Not great.
Not great at all.
I think Birmingham City do win here. They need a win, and I think they get it. It's a kind fixture. Birmingham City to win this game at 2-0 for me.
Yeah, I'm going to say 2-1, just because Sheffield Wednesday, they need to try and bounce back from that heavy defeat at home. It's a little bit embarrassing, and they've got a new manager. They're not getting the results. They're going to lose again, but it's going to be a decent performance. But again, same old story. So Birmingham get their first win under Wayne Rooney for me. 2-1.
2-1 Birmingham. Okay, maybe not as comfortable as me, but we're both going for Blues there. Next up, Sophie, let's move on to Bristol City versus Middlesbrough. This game is interesting. Bristol City have been all right. They got a new manager in, didn't they? Obviously, have to get rid of Nigel Pearson. They brought in Manning. I think they're a very steady mid-table side, capable of taking points off top sides, and I do think Middlesbrough are a top side. They're not in the playoffs yet, but the way they are going, they will get there soon. And of course, we need to mention they beat Leicester City just before the international break. Unbelievable result, unbelievable goal. I think this is going to be Bristol City 1, Middlesbrough 2. I just think Borough have just got enough to get it over the line, and they're going to continue to move towards the playoffs.
Yeah, I think Manning could do a good job at Bristol City, actually, because he was doing a good job at Oxford before leaving. So they have got a good manager there, I think. It'll be interesting to see if he does a good job. However, I don't think he's had enough time just yet. And you're coming up against Middlesbrough. It's a very, very tough first game. I think this could be quite a convincing one, you know, because Middlesbrough have looked quite good. So 3-0.
Ooh.
Yeah, they've looked good for me, so it could be a bit of a beating.
Wow,
3-0.
that is heavy.
After everything I've just said about Bristol City, you're going to lose 3-0.
Manning's a great manager. He's going to lose 3-0.
But he's going to lose 3-0.
There you go. Well, Michael Carrick's a fantastic manager, isn't he?
He is.
He's been brilliant for Middlesbrough. Can he take them up this season? We shall see. On to Huddersfield Town next, Sophie, as they take on Southampton. Once again, like the first game, this is a bit of a mismatch. Huddersfield Town are fighting off relegation. Southampton are looking very good. There's a lot of talk about Leeds United, myself included, talking about Leeds United. Southampton are only 1 point behind them, and they're certainly still involved in the top 2 conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Their form is looking good. They've been clicking a lot recently, and I think that's kind of what I expected. It was a slow-ish start as Southampton maybe were trying to get used to new players and Russell Martin's style of football.
Yes.
But it's paying dividends now, and I think Huddersfield Town are no match. Huddersfield 0, Southampton 3.
Oh, quite a convincing one. I think what we can predict in this one is Southampton have a lot of possession. I think Huddersfield just needs to try and keep them out, keep the goals out as long as possible. Then they've got a chance to sneak in a draw, because I don't see them winning this. But Southampton do look good, so they're going to win this for me. Not as convincing as you, but I see them keeping a clean sheet as well, which would be good. 2-0.
2-0 Southampton.
Yeah,
both going for them to get a clean sheet. Next up, Sophie, let's go to the King Power, where Leicester City take on Watford. Interesting, maybe, because Leicester City have lost their last 2 games.
Last 2, yeah. After their amazing form.
I know. It's hardly a crisis for Leicester City. It's not a crisis to lose 2 games.
Someone tell their fans that. You should see them on Twitter.
But the standards they've been setting, this is certainly a little dip in the road, isn't it? And Watford come into this full of confidence on the back of that 5-0 win over Rotherham. You just wonder if the 2-week international break has been more beneficial for Leicester City than Watford. Watford probably would have wanted their next game straight away, whereas Leicester probably wanted a little bit of a break. I think Leicester City just pinched this. Watford are no mugs in the Championship, but Leicester have looked better than them this season, and I'll go Leicester 2, Watford 1.
Yeah, I completely agree about the international break. I feel like it's a good breather for Leicester City. You've got two defeats on the bounce. As you said, Watford won 5-0 against Rotherham, which was a great result, but you'd want to then play whilst you're still full of confidence. They'll still have the confidence going into this one, and that's why I see it being a slightly tighter game. But Leicester City get back to winning ways for me, especially being at home. 2-1.
2-1. So we are both going for a 2-1 Leicester City win there. Do share your thoughts on that game at the King Power, Leicester City versus Watford. Next up, Sophie, let's go to the Den, where Millwall take on Coventry City. Let's start with Millwall. Millwall picked up a fantastic 4-0 win away at Sheffield Wednesday. Yes, Wednesday are not great, but still 4-0. That's very good for Millwall. And maybe, we can see an upturn from them. They've got a new manager. That kind of result can breed positivity. And they are a good Championship team. They are, at minimum, a top half side. So I do think they'll climb the table. Yeah. Coventry, we predicted them at the start of the season to be more than in the top half. We both went for playoffs. Right now, Coventry sit 20th with no wins in 6 games. That run of games between those 2 international breaks was really poor. 4 defeats, then a 0-0 draw. Yes, we didn't lose the last game, but it doesn't give me massive confidence coming into this one. At some point, Coventry probably will surprise us and win a game which we don't expect them to.
Yeah.
But that can't be the basis for a prediction for a Coventry win here. The last time I backed Coventry to lose, I think, was against Preston, and we did lose. And someone commented, who was a Coventry fan, saying, "Why do you want Coventry to lose?" I don't want Coventry to lose. I'm a Coventry fan, you imbecile. I just think we're going to lose based on the run of results at the moment. The team is not clicking, and I want Coventry to win this game, but I'm going to go with what I think is a typical result. Millwall 1-0. Wouldn't surprise me if Coventry play really well, but Millwall get the result. Coventry are just too naive.
Yeah, we're not taking our chances. Any time that we've put in a good performance, again, we're not taking our chances. We had 3 strikes on the pitch against Stoke. It was 0-0. You said to me before the game, would you take a 0-0? I said, with 3 strikes on the pitch, no, I wouldn't. It was 0-0 anyway. And whoever commented saying you don't want your team to win, no, it's just we can't be that biased. I'm biased, of course, and obviously you want your team to win, but they're not going to win. And how can you predict them to win when they've lost 4 on the bounce? Obviously, we drew our last one, so that's given me a bit more confidence, but I can't not go for Millwall here. Annoyingly, I'm going to say I trust Millwall 1-0.
Yeah. Millwall love a 1-0 win at home,
do.
don't they? They've not actually been great at home so far this season, but this is the kind of fixture which will improve their home record. Okay, Sophie, let's move on to the next game. We're going to go to Carrow Road, where Norwich City take on Queen's Park Rangers. Both sides not really in great form. QPR have picked up a couple draws in their last couple of games, and they've got a new manager, so maybe slight improvement, but not a lot to go off. Norwich City, they surprised us by winning at Cardiff 3-2.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. Good win though.
Yeah.
Really good win.
That is a major win when you think the pressure was really, really heavy on Wagner. And although I know at Norwich City they came out and said, we're sticking with Wagner, we're defending him. If the losses keep coming, they won't be saying that for much longer. You've got to turn it around at some point, and they're saying that because they're giving him more time. But that win has bought him more time, and I think if they win this one, then all of a sudden the pressure is still maybe there a little bit, but not as much. And I think this is the kind of game Norwich might just be able to win. They're at home against the bottom three side, who I do think have looked a bit better under Cifuentes, but maybe they're just starting to, maybe they're taking a bit of time to get going. I think Norwich win a very tight game. Norwich 2, QPR 1.
I mean, under Ainsworth, QPR were slightly better away from home. They have got a new manager now, but I am going to tip Norwich to win this. I didn't think they'd win against Cardiff, and that was a good result. And maybe this is a turn in form that they really desperately needed. I'm going to give it to them, but it's going to be a tight game for me. Just one goal is going to separate the two. 1-0 to the Canaries, but a massive clean sheet.
Yeah, both going for Norwich to win by 1 goal. Share your thoughts on that game at Carrow Road. Next up, Sophie, we're going to a game at Home Park. This could be a cracker. It's Plymouth Argyle versus Sunderland. Once again, a very, very long journey. Anyone that goes to Plymouth Argyle is travelling very far, but Sunderland is the furthest you can go to get to Plymouth in the Championship. So I absolutely salute any Sunderland fans going to this one, and of course I salute the Plymouth fans that will be making the return journey up to Sunderland. As for the game itself, Sophie, difficult to predict. Sunderland have been a little bit inconsistent. They did get a win just before the international break at home to Birmingham City. Joe Bellingham scoring against his former side in that one. Plymouth Argyle, as we said, they just lost to Leeds United, but at home they are very good. And that is where they're going to get the bulk of their points, and that is where they're going to stay up and possibly finish higher than where they are now. I'm going to go for an entertaining Desmond, Sophie. Sunderland are very good. Plymouth are very good at home. Plymouth 2, Sunderland 2.
Yeah, see, I can see why you've gone for a draw, because I could see this going either way. I'm going to back Sunderland, actually, because at times both teams play very, very well, and I know Plymouth are better at home. However, I am just going to lean towards Sunderland on this one. 2-1.
2-1 Sunderland. Interesting. Okay, next up, Soph, we're going to go to Deepdale, where we see Preston North End take on Cardiff City. Preston, it looked as if their good start was fading away, but they picked up 2 wins back-to-back just before that international break, which has got them back into the playoffs. They need to keep the wins being churned on if they want to stay there. But Cardiff City, they're not a million miles away from the playoffs, but they lost at home to Norwich, which we didn't see coming. Both sides have been very good. Both sides have been better than what we probably thought before the season started. Maybe just leaning towards Preston. They've got the home advantage, and they are a little bit higher in the table. So I'm going to say a tight game, but I think Preston just get the 3 points. Preston 2, Cardiff 1. Yeah,
I was tempted to either say a 1-0 Preston win or a 2-1, but you know what? I'm actually going to go down the middle for this one. I'm finding it quite hard to separate the two, but I would lean more towards Preston in this one. But I just feel like a draw might play out. 1-1.
1-1?
Yeah, I think it will be.
Going for a 1-1 draw. It's an interesting matchup, that one. Next up, Sophie, we're going to go to Stoke City, who take on Blackburn Rovers. I remember this game on Friday night last season, because it was actually the night my son was born, and I was checking for updates on this one while I was waiting. Stoke City won that game. Yeah, I know, priorities. Stoke City actually won that game 3-2. They went into a 3-0 lead. Blackburn pulled 2 back, and Stoke picked up a valuable 3 points, which actually dented Blackburn and their playoff aspirations. So far this season, they've both been pretty good at times. Stoke City have been very good defensively. They were very solid at Coventry. Didn't offer a lot going forwards, but
I think it was an off game, to be honest.
McNally and Michael Rose looked pretty solid together, didn't they? And Stoke have beaten some top sides this season, especially in the recent weeks. Blackburn, they're very capable of getting something here. I'm going to go for a draw for this one. I think these two are both decent, possibly both decent top half teams. Going to go 1-1.
Yeah, purely because of how Stoke played against Coventry, I thought, how have they been getting such good wins? But I know every team can have their off day, so they could get back to winning ways here. However, and I feel like they'll probably be the favourites, being the home side. But I can see Rovers sneak in the 3 points. 2-1.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You go 2-1 Blackburn Rovers.
Don't know why, I just see it happening.
Yeah, interesting. It's a tight game. Once again, that could go either way. I'm going for a draw. Sophie's going Blackburn. Just a couple of games to go, Sophie. We'll go down to South Wales, where Swansea City take on Hull City. These two sides for me are what I'd consider dark horses in the Championship. I feel like when there's the conversation about, oh, this team's strong, this team's going to make it to the top 6, these two maybe don't get mentioned as much as they should. And let's start with Hull City. They've been really, really good under Rosinia. I think they're a very solid team. They just picked up the 3 points against Huddersfield with a late goal just before the international break. And I've really started to think that Hull City might be that dark horse to make the top 6. And if they don't, then maybe just finish outside of it. Swansea City are a solid team as well. Very capable of winning when you least expect it. They're at home for this one. How much does the home advantage matter for this? Do you know what? I'm just not going to go for a draw this time and hand the 3 points to the side that's higher in the table, which is Hull City. I think they're just going to snatch it. They need to keep picking up these crucial wins, because I do think they've actually got a very good chance of making the top 6 this season. Swansea 0, Hull City 1.
I'm finding it really, really hard to separate the two. So I feel like I'm going to have to go for a draw and be boring again. Another 1-1 for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Some of the games this week are really
They're
hard to separate.
To call, yeah.
It's a difficult one. Swansea and Hull fans do certainly share your thoughts and give us your insight. Difficult game to predict, that one. On to the final game then, Sophie, and we are going to the Hawthorns for West Bromwich Albion versus Ipswich Town. This one's a decent matchup. West Brom have looked solid so far this season. They've been on a really good run. They did just lose to Southampton before the international break in a big sort of playoff head-to-head game. But ultimately, things are trending in the right direction for West Brom. But surely the team with the most attention on them this weekend in this fixture is going to be Ipswich Town, because they have been so good this season and they are right in the thick of a promotion battle. They're at the top of it. You know, they're in that top 2. Yes. Can they keep the points being churned out when they've got Leeds United and Southampton trying to breathe down their neck? This is difficult, Sophie. I do like West Bromwich Albion, but Ipswich Town have been so good this season. This is so difficult to separate. I really do like West Brom. I do think they've looked so much better this season as opposed to last season. And the manager, Carlos Corberán, is fantastic. I have actually recently done some up-to-date predictions and said I think West Brom make the playoffs. But I do think Ipswich Town are at least going to get a top 3 finish. And I really do think they've got a strong chance of getting automatics. Oh, going to go for a draw. I don't think it's a total disaster for Ipswich to get a draw here. Going to go West Brom 2, Ipswich 2.
Do you know what? I was really tempted to say Desmond as well, but I feel like I've just got to back Ipswich. They're just in insane form at the moment, and I know everyone's saying it's like going to come to an end at some point because it's almost unmaintainable. There's got to be some injuries at some point that would just dismantle things a little bit. But as you say, West Brom have been impressing me, so I feel bad going against them, but I'm going to have to. But for me, another goal fest. 3-2.
3-2 to Ipswich.
There's always goals in an Ipswich game and they always end up the winner.
It's a difficult game to separate, but you're just going for Ipswich Town. There you go, guys. That wraps up the Championship predictions for another week. Like I say, there's so many games coming. Do look out for a video on Monday because we've got midweek games coming again. This is going to be a crazy time in the Championship season. Thank you for joining me, Sophie.
Thank you.
Do make sure you guys have dropped a like and subscribed. We will see you all in the next video. Peace out.